Stop breathing for 5 full seconds. Gorgeous. Because in the next 8 seconds I'm handing you the single most ruthless, most luxurious, most relationship-defining rule that has ever left my crimson lips. The millisecond he shows you, even for a heartbeat, that he cannot handle your standards, you either train him like the expensive, pedigreed stallion he secretly aches to become for you, or you leave him in the rear-view mirror so cleanly, so coldly, so completely that his ego spends the next decade trying to recover from the privilege of almost having you. I discovered it the night a 35-year-old Wall Street god, the kind who closes 9-figure deals before most people finish coffee, laughed in my face and said your standards are cute but unrealistic when I told him I don't do last-minute plans. I don't chase, and I don't explain myself twice. I looked him dead in the eyes, let the silence stretch until it was uncomfortable for him, smiled the slowest smile he had ever seen, and said, "Then you're not the man I thought you were." Stood up from the rooftop table at zero bond, walked out without touching nothing, not the chair, not the glass, not him, and disappeared into a waiting black Maybach. 47 hours later, he wired $25,000 with the memo for the inconvenience of wasting your time, and begged on my blocked voicemail to be given rules so he could learn how to deserve me. I have used this exact train or leave protocol on European royalty who were raised to be worshipped, on Grammy winners who had women rewriting their own boundaries just to keep them, on tech billionaires who swore they would never change for anyone, on old money heirs who thought standards were for poor people, on crypto whales who buy islands when they are bored. And every single time, the result is identical. Within 72 hours, they are apologizing for things they didn't even know were offenses. Within 2 weeks, they are rearranging their entire personality to fit inside my world. Within 3 months, they are on one knee promising to spend the rest of their lives, proving they are worthy of the woman who almost walked away. Tonight, I am giving you the complete system. Every psychological trigger, every velvet-wrapped blade, every calm, quiet, devastating step that turns average men into devoted husbands and weak men into cautionary tales men whisper about in private jets. I'm talking about the rule that makes him wake up in a cold sweat terrified of disappointing you. Makes him cancel board meetings to be on time. Makes him apologize before he's even wrong. Makes him proud to tell his friends, "She runs me and I love it." I'm talking about the rule that separates the wives from the world envies from the girlfriends the world forgets. If you've ever lowered your standards and hated the woman in the mirror for it, if you've ever watched him relax the second you went soft, if you've ever cried in an Uber because you taught him your love was negotiable, if you've ever stayed after he showed you exactly who he was and then acted surprised when he did it again, stay glued to this screen. Because tonight you stop begging men to respect you and start making them earn the privilege of breathing the same air, touching the same sheets, sharing the same future. Hit that subscribe button and turn on every single notification right now. Because queens do not miss the masterclasses that turn almost boyfriends into yes, mom husbands. The moment he tests your boundary, the moment he laughs, rolls his eyes, pushes back, says you're too much. You're high maintenance. No one else has ever had a problem with this. That is the exact second the universe hands you a crystal clear fork in the road. Train him or leave him. Most women panic. Explain. Soften. Justify. Chase. Queens smile. Go perfectly still. And let the consequences do the teaching their words refuse to do. I did it in Monaco when a prince tried to kiss me on night 1 after I had already said my body, my timeline. He smirked, leaned in anyway, and said relax. We're having fun. I placed one crimson fingertip on his chest, looked him in the eye, and whispered, "Fun is earned." Then stepped off the yacht, walked down the dock in 6-inch heels without looking back, and flew to Paris with my girls on the next available jet. 6 days of radio silence later, he chartered his own plane, landed at Le Bourget, showed up at my suite at the Ritz on his knees with a vintage Van Cleef box, and the words "teach me how to deserve you." I did it in Manhattan when a hedge fund king kept replying hours late to my texts, and finally said I'm busy building an empire. Y'all have to deal. I stopped answering completely for 9 days. Posted myself glowing on a yacht in Capri. Hair wet. Skin sun-kissed. Champagne in hand. And when he finally appeared at my door shaking with flowers and apologies, I looked down at him and said, "Good boys get responses. Men who respect my time get my world." He has answered within 3 minutes every single day for the last 3 years. I did it in L.A. when a Grammy winner laughed at my no sleepovers on weeknights rule and said babies don't have curfews. I packed an overnight bag, checked into the peninsula on my own card just to prove I never need him, and stayed gone for 8 days. When he finally tracked me down, he was carrying the deed to a beach house and begging for a list of rules he could follow to keep me. The training is never loud, never emotional, never desperate. It is quiet, calm, surgical, and devastatingly effective. You state the standard once. Voice like velvet over steel. Eyes locked. Zero room for negotiation. Then you enforce it with action. Silence that feels like ice. Distance that feels like death. Disappearance that feels like grief. You never argue. Never explain twice. Never raise your voice. Never negotiate with disrespect. You simply remove your presence and let the vacuum do the convincing. One of my private queens used it when her boyfriend kept canceling plans last minute. She stopped answering calls for 6 full days, posted herself glowing at dinner with friends he didn't know. And when he finally showed up at her door crying, she said, "Reliability is the new sexy. Catch up or get left behind." He proposed exactly 4 months later with a ring he had been carrying since week 2 of radio silence. Another used it when her man laughed at her no phone in bed rule. She slept at the Four Seasons for 5 nights. Sent one mirror selfie in hotel sheets with the caption "Peace is priceless." And when he begged her to come home, she handed him a printed list titled "How to Keep a Queen" and watched him memorize it like scripture. Another used it when her situationship said him not ready for titles. She vanished for 11 days. Came back engaged to someone else within a year. And he still sends her "I messed up" texts every birthday. The power is in the unshakable certainty that your standards are not negotiable, not debatable, not flexible for the right guy. They are the entry fee to your universe. And any man who flinches at the price is immediately disqualified. You become the prize he has to level up for or lose forever. The woman he will tell his therapist about for the next decade. The one who got away because he wasn't ready to become the version of himself only you could see. Drop, train him, or leave him in the comments 3 times right now, so every queen watching knows exactly what energy we are carrying into every room from this moment forward. And when he finally chooses the training, when he starts showing up 20 minutes early with flowers he researched for 2 days, when he starts texting "good morning," queen before his own alarm goes off, when he starts asking "how can I make your day easier," instead of assuming you'll adjust to his, when he starts apologizing before he's even wrong, because he's terrified of ever seeing that ice-cold silence again. That is when you reward him with the rarest, most addictive currency on planet Earth. The slow, delicious, intoxicating experience of watching a high-value queen decide to keep a man who proved he could be molded into greatness. You let him feel what peace tastes like inside your standards. Let him breathe the air of a woman who never settles. Let him wake up next to the version of himself only you demanded into existence. And then, right when he thinks he's finally safe, you raise the bar another 6 inches just to watch him jump higher. Smile wider. Love harder. I did it with my husband. After months of surgical training, he proposed on a yacht in Capri with a ring he had hidden for 60 days. Shaking, voice cracking, reading vows, he wrote himself about how losing me for even a week rewrote his entire soul. When he slid the ring on my finger, I looked down at him and whispered, "Good boy," and watched him cry because he finally understood the privilege of being kept. Another queen used it for 8 months on a man who once laughed at her no second chances rule. She trained him with silence, distance, and replacement energy until he was booking therapy, reading books on attachment, sending daily voice notes about how he was becoming the man she deserved. On month 8, he proposed in the exact restaurant where he had once disrespected her, got on one knee, and said, "I needed to become someone worthy of keeping you." From this moment forward, you never lower the bar for comfort. Never soften the rules for love. Never accept he's trying as payment when excellence is the only currency you trade in. You never apologize for your standards. Never explain them to small men. Never shrink to make anyone feel taller. You walk into every room knowing your standards are the velvet rope that keeps the boys out and lets only kings stay. Knowing your boundaries are the crown you never remove. Knowing your peace is the most expensive real estate on earth, and only the worthy get a key. You become the woman little girls will one day point at and ask, "How did you get him to treat you like that?" And you will smile slow, touch the ring that took years of training to earn, and say, "I never lowered the bar. I simply removed every man who couldn't reach it." You become the wife other women study in secret, the ex every situationship regrets, the standard every future daughter will be raised to protect. Leave "I needed this" queen in the comments if you're ready to start training the ones worth keeping and leaving the rest in the ashes of their own mediocrity. Turn on every single notification because the next masterclass is even sharper. And it'll see you at the very top, where the men are obedient, the rings are heavy, the peace is unbreakable, and the women who held the line wear the crown for the rest. For life, you were never meant to beg for respect. Darling, you were never meant to teach grown men basic decency, to mother boyfriends into husbands, to shrink so someone else could feel big. You were meant to train the worthy and leave the weak, to build a kingdom where only excellence is allowed to breathe, to live so high above average that disrespect can't even see you from down there. Now go enforce your standards like the quiet, devastating law they are. Watch the trainable ones rise and the rest disappear. And never, ever lower the bar for anyone who isn't ready to live on their knees, thanking God they get to meet it. It'll be waiting at the top, legs crossed, crown straight, watching another queen walk away from the wrong man and straight into the arms of the one who finally learned how to deserve her.